What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the Woman Be Healed podcast, the podcast all about acknowledging the opportunity to heal, harnessing the power of forgiveness by leaning on God and community. I'm your host, Rashonda Powell. Hey, my healed and free fam, and welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm excited to be back on the mic today. The past few weeks have been something else, let me tell you. If you follow me on social media, you will see that I've been working on a few things, soap restocks, body butters, etc. But one of the things that I'm most excited about is the women's conference that will be held in September. This podcast, the Woman Be Healed podcast, will be hosting its first ever women's conference entitled Woman It's Time. And it's going to be September 14th at the Signet Center in Chesapeake, Virginia. I've been having this feeling for a while that God is about to turn the tables for many of us that He has called, the women that He has called, women that have been in the back for so long, women that have desires and dreams that feel like, it's nothing but just that, it's a desire and a dream. Women that have been holding on and having faith, even if it's small. But also the table is about to turn in the area where He's about to bring out His true believers, ones that feel a pull from God but really don't know how to go about it, ones that will realize who they are and whose they are. And then once they realize it, they also gonna realize why the devil been fighting them so hard. I feel like God is really telling us, woman, it's time. And this conference is just the beginning. It's to bring women together, to love and to fellowship with each other and pour into each other and step into our calling. The call where we sometimes press ignore, the side button on our phone and act like we don't see it just because we silenced it and, we can't hear the vibration anymore. But yeah, before I really get into anything of, this episode, I really just wanted to encourage you. If you feel like God is pulling you into your calling, or even if you've answered it already and you just want to be surrounded by good people and like-minded women, love and a good time, you can register on my website, www.healedfree, that's HEALED free.com. And there's a banner at the top that will take you to the registration form, or you can click on the menu and go straight to the Woman It's Time page to register. My favorite verse is Proverbs 31:10. One of my favorite verses, because I can't even pinpoint my favorite. It's about the virtuous woman, and I'm going to quote just a little bit before I go forward. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband does he safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil. She seeks wool and flax and works willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is still night and gives meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She girds her loins with strength and strengthens her arms. Skip forward because it goes all the way up to verse 31 describing a virtuous woman, but it says her children arise and call her blessed. My prayer is to be the epitome of a virtuous woman. And I pray that God leads and guides my every action to really lead a life that is a living testimony to that. All right, y'all. The title of today's episode is Changing Your Algorithm. How many of y'all have a TikTok or Instagram or Facebook? I'm assuming everybody. When I first started my social media pages, I would see a bunch of random anythings. I would see everything from the pages that, from the people I followed, whether I was interested in it or not. But the more time I spent on the things that drew my attention, the more of those same videos my social media would show me. I could watch cooking videos, music reels, homesteading videos, DIY building, snippets of Jackie Hill Perry, Brenda Palmer, and anyone else that's real and raw with a word that sticks to me for hours on end. And the more I watch these videos, the more I see of them without even having to go searching for them. They're already on my feed, waiting for me as soon as I tap the app. They call that algorithm, right? The algorithm. I looked up the definition of algorithm. The Sprout Social says in social media, algorithms are rules, signals, and data that govern the platform's operation. These algorithms determine how content is filtered, ranked, selected, and recommended to users. In some ways, algorithms influence our choices and what we see on social media. Another definition says an algorithm is a set of commands that must be followed for a computer to perform calculations or other problem solving operations. There was a time where I couldn't stand getting on social media because when I got on, I just knew that as soon as I got on, I was going to see something negative. Someone complaining, someone calling somebody else out, cussing endlessly, speaking on vulgar subjects with much disrespect, downplaying others, speaking against women or other men. I mean, the list grows tiresome. It drained me. And although it's still not a place where I would, like to spend more than 1 or 2 hours of my day, it doesn't drain me as much anymore when I get on. Why? Because the more my algorithm has been tailored to the things that feed my spirit rather than slap every part of nourishment I had in me before I got up there, um, I feel like I can actually gain something from it rather than lose everything I had just by clicking on it. I could click on social media now and know that something from the Bible is going to pop up. From the Bible Simplified, who I follow, or Jackie Hill Perry dropping some deep, well thought out and pondered biblical knowledge, or, some type of fire verse that, will have you kind of reading in the Bible like, oh, shoot, that's where she got that from. That sounds good. Or I will see like Brenda Palmer like hollering right aggressively and real, but grabs you right on together. But all of it is something that I need. I need that on my spirit on a regular and not just from social media. I need to know that my algorithm, my natural algorithm, is to wake up in the morning and give God room before I make space for anything else. I need my algorithm to go into praise and worship mode when things aren't looking up. I need my algorithm to say thank you, Jesus, and open my hand to give things when things are good for me and not forget God. I need my algorithm to open my mouth and encourage somebody and speak about a good father no matter who is looking at me funny. I need my algorithm to have faith even when my eyes can't see. I need my algorithm to change from what I used to be to what and who God knows I am. So, the title of this episode, Changing Your Algorithm. If I could wrap this whole episode into 3 points, I would say in changing your algorithm, you will have to be mindful on who you allow in. Number 2, be intentional on who you follow. And number 3, make room for the creator. My profile had been set on private for a while, and I just recently let my IG go public. Reason being, I didn't want anyone, I didn't want anybody to see me or what I had going on. My initial reasoning was because I just have this, and I ain't gonna say I have. My initial reasoning is because of lack of trust. And also, when you allow people in, they automatically think that they have access to you and permission to comment and place their opinion on anything that you post, no matter your intention behind it. You open the door, baby, they're going to step right on in and roam about your house without bringing a case of water or a bag of potato chips. That's what it is. And I didn't like that element. I recently allowed my page to go public because I have also come to the mindset that I have the power to block anyone and escort them on out if they get out of hand, pocket, or line. You feel me? But if I am to shine my light in the way that God would like me to, then I'm gonna have to tear down certain walls. Keyword certain. Be mindful on who you allow in. For example, in a gated community, there are walls or some type of barrier around the community, and the only way to get in is through a certain gate or gates, whether it's controlled by a sticker that is automatically saying to list the gates, 24/7 security, or a code that you punch in on a keypad. There is a gate. The criteria to get into that gated community is that you have to live in that community or have been given access to it. To change your algorithm, you have to be the gatekeeper of what has access to you. I had a friend, right? I'm sure we have all had a friend like this. I would allow that friend access to me. And every time that friend would grab from me, and I thought that that friend was good for me, but every time I would feel so low when that friend left. And once I noticed, I removed that friend. The algorithm of who I allowed in my life changed. I began to notice when people weren't for me, and I stopped allowing everyone access to me. And I was alone for a while, a while, but I got to know me, and eventually I got to know God. And He began to place people around me that were for me. And He also shined a light on the people that were already there, but I just wasn't noticing. And I had to be the gatekeeper of people that meant me no good and say, nah, you can't get the code to this gate, and the gate won't be open for you. And although people will still come up to the gate and push the doorbell, your 24/7 security guard will say, I'm trained in foolery, and this person is a wolf dressed in sheep's clothing. And you get the chance to press the reject button and ignore that bell. Changing the algorithm isn't always quick, because your actions have to be monitored for a while. And, when you're on social media, it has to, determine how long you look at videos, what you clicked, what you liked, what you saved, what you, shared, or who you chose to follow. And although it may not be a quick process, once it changes, you notice suddenly. Number 2, be intentional on who you follow. Because while people may see you, you also have the authority and the power on where to place your eyes, your mind, your speech, and your body. I recently went on a unfollowing spree. And I normally don't do that unless I'm really bothered by, what I keep seeing from a certain page or person. I just kind of keep it moving and scroll past or whatever. But something that I heard from a post and kept hearing from this certain page and person rubbed me so wrong the other day. And I felt like God said to me, you need to filter out what you are allowing to pass through your screen. And it's funny because I always pray that God casts down any portals that the enemy has through, screens in my house on behalf of my kids. And I'm steady nagging them about what they should and shouldn't be watching. And I'll be threatening to take them remotes and banning certain platforms, when I see it. But when I, as their mother, am also allowing similar things to remain on my own feed, and even though I don't watch it, you never know what you could get from passing. Like you ever put your phone down for a minute while you're watching a reel and you don't go back to it fast enough, so it starts playing the next reel in rotation, so you hear it in passing whether you want it to or not. And that's similar to what happens when we follow people that we have no business even being in the same pathway with. Like walking down the grocery store, someone sneezes 4 minutes ahead of you and you walk right through it without knowing. 2 days later, you woke up with a head cold. Yet we have these thoughts like, but I just like the way she dresses. Or I love the way she does her videos. Or she always has good reel tips. Or I look at her for hair inspo. And we feel like it's no harm, no foul. But as she's doing her hair videos, she's talking about how she participates in witchcraft. And you're like, yeah, but I know the God I serve and I don't do witchcraft. But you're following a person that does. Or she was my friend in high school. She was always wild like that. But she a cool person. She cool people. And that's all fine and dandy, but to like be real honest with with yourself. Have you ever caught yourself wanting to slip into those wild ways rather than invite her into your space or invite them into your space? Have you ever caught yourself in temptation rather than resisting? Have you caught yourself gossiping more or speaking negatively? The question to that also is, what's the impact and who's following who? And that question really slapped me too. Because I thought as long as I wasn't in what they were in, then I was cool. But if their influence is stronger than yours, you need to be intentional on who you following. We've become so accustomed to lukewarm. And we also stray away from people that speak against it or speak against anything that we're doing. And I get it. It can feel bad. It can feel judgy. But the word says, my sheep know my voice. They hear me and they follow me. So if anything slaps me good and I feel God in it, and this is just me, I don't care how mad I get in the moment. When I think about it, I know it's all love and I'm going to follow and I'm going to be obedient. My daughter gets so pissed at me when I tell her the truth. I mean, when I tell her, a friend don't do that. You can be cute and not have your stomach all out, baby. You 9. Or stop saying nothing. Stop saying nothing, when you're upset, and let it out. Like, these are some of the things that I tell her, and it can feel judgy and she gets pissed off by them. But it's real and it's all love. I feel like I'm a loving mom that wants my baby to know her worth and how God views her, that her words have value, her body has value, and her mind is beautiful. And sometimes my correction doesn't feel that way when she's getting it, because she's on the opposite end of it. But that's also how that question feels. What's the impact and who's following who? I used to be so afraid to share my faith because of how people would view me. But when you come to a place where you lead, rare is there going to be people beside you when you are intended to be in front. I'm not going to always have friends. I'm not going to always have people that understand. Nor are you when you're leading. But for God, I live. Say it with me. And for God, I die, baby. That's not where I'm supposed to be. So I'm leaving. You got to say that. That's not how I'm supposed to talk. So I'm giving up gossip and unwholesome talk. That's not how I'm supposed to dress. I can cover up and still be cute. That's not what I want to do on my platform. I can speak about God and live the life too. Be intentional on who you follow. You really have to get to a point where you are not only saying it, but intentionally letting the spirit inside you lead. Every now and then, I scroll and see something from people that I follow that are still lifing. Because it's life and people grow at their own pace, and judgment is not a task for me or for you, but God alone. I make mistakes and fall short, and so do you, and we don't got no reason to judge. It's all love with me, and I believe that God can call and speak to anybody, and the word also says you be the example, and you might be the cause of somebody believing. So to not confuse y'all, I unfollowed blasphemy the other week and blatant acts of disrespect. And I know for a fact God didn't call me to holler at people on social media. I unfollowed to guard my heart and my mind. Discernment, my girl. Anywho, sometimes those posts still come in even when you've been the gatekeeper and even when you've been intentional on who you follow. The enemy has a way of putting black ice where you thought was just water. The workers of the platform, the workers of social media are always going to throw in something that's nothing about what you like, yet everything to draw your attention, to say, hey, look at me, hey, buy me, hey, act like me, hey, think like me. Even when it's the total opposite of your interest and what you would like to see or where your heart truly is. In these times, consider this: no algorithm would be in place if social media did not have creators. But this time, for my point 3, I don't want you to think about content creators or anything with social media. I know that there's some way I could have really wrapped this into a nice, pretty bow with social media, and content creators. But at this point, number 3 is plain and simple. To change your algorithm, you have to make room for the creator, the one and only. Your alignment with God, your obedience to God, your drawing near to God, your praying to God, your alone time with God influences your algorithm. If I'm constantly reading my word, then my words will begin to reflect what I read. If I'm constantly in prayer, then my faith will begin to reflect what I pray. If I'm constantly obedient, then God will trust me. He will continue to trust me with the requirements He has. If I'm faithful over the little things, God will make me a ruler over many. If I'm a giver, then God will give to me. If I'm forgiven, God will forgive me. Forgive us as we forgive those who trespass against us. If I love, baby, God gonna always love you. And that's just how good He is. But truly, your walk will reflect the Creator. Your life will reflect your Father. And I never want to be one of those people that knows the Bible front to back, but is mean as a viper. I mean, I know some of them. I'm going to shut up. But you have to make room for the Creator to change your algorithm, to change the way you think, to change the way you move, to change the way you act and have perspective on. Let me tell y'all something before I go. You help push change when you stand firm, not when you conform. Change your algorithm. Don't let the algorithm change you. That's all I have for y'all this week. Short, simple, to the point. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel or followed me on IG, click the links below and hit that notification bell on whatever platform you're on so that every time I pop on, you can pop on with me, my girl. You feel me? And don't forget to register for the women's conference at www.healedfree.com. I love y'all with a godly love. Okay? Until next time, y'all.